I'm going to be 41 this April. I'm unmarried. I'm unemployed. I'm the single dad of an 11-year-old boy. A healthy, happy, solid, strong, excellent boy. I'm going to fight, I guess, a little harder to make my personal experience, you know, worthwhile. I've always been artistic, in this, not autistic, and I've never really personally received where I felt, I was appreciated. I've been, basically insulted and ignored more for my effort than appreciated. It's very meaningful to me to have a kind word of support given to me, since nobody talks to me on Earth. Personally, that's the way I've been living for a long time. I've been preoccupied with myself. I've had great reputation as being a head case, no thanks to you folks. And I would have loved to have had Christmases and Thanksgivings and birthdays and the American traditional, the American experience. But I'm a lot more like an immigrant right off the boat, who hasn't got any affiliation or connection to who the hell I'm living among. And this is me in my hometown. I'm not going to stab myself in the stomach and be on heroin and walk around shady and ducking authorities and trying to live dualities and harbor animosities and have second agendas and all these other nice big 25-cent words that I used to get scolded at for using around my family. I had to be an asshole, and I had to be an idiot, and I had to be ignorant, and I had to do what I was told, and I had to accept a very meager role in the hierarchy of the food chain, to include the band that I was referring to, who were directly involved. And you're not Lord of me. You're not Lord of me. We all got older. Did you look in the mirror too? You got older too. No matter how much cosmetics we go through and everything. I don't know. I'm trying to be graceful with it, man. But I'll tell you what. The fact that nobody wants to talk it out, that ain't going anywhere. That ain't cool. It's a lot more than placing bets for a football game and golfing and bullshit that I've been playing games with the big boys, trying to determine if I was normal or not. I don't have to go along with that. Nobody does. There's so much more pressing things to be dealing with. You can't, you know what I mean? This is political. It's spiritual. It's deep. For a lot more than that. And my final comment is, it's unrelated but a peripheral issue, is I don't think it matters if you're married or not, and you're supposed to be this exclusive, closed circle community of acceptable standard in America, and everybody else can go fucking punt. I think it's a question of it's birthrights that once you're breathing, or once you're conceived, once you're breathing, it's supposed to be fair opportunity for upward mobility. I guess I'm referring to the Jay Leno point of view video on NBC.com from his January 18 show. He's talking about what he thought happened, and he's explaining how Conan's a great guy, and he's a great guy. Everybody's a great guy. NBC executives are great guys, and they are. You know what? But I'm not a peon just because you're on TV. I think you get. This is what I want to say. If there's any kind of malicious content that I got against society right now, you're not the only show in town. You know what I mean? I understand keeping the peace and the need for government. I support it. I support the federal government. I don't support the social hierarchy that takes place where people in America at this time, value what they value and the way they value. That's how I feel about it. We're supposed to be a microcosm of the world in New York City. New York City is a microcosm of the world, but it doesn't spread outside the 5 boroughs. Not in America. And America is supposed to be the great social experiment of the world for an equal sense of democracy and self-worth and liberty and pursuit of happiness. And again, I don't believe it's just pursuit of happiness without ever achieving. You can look for it. Yeah, well, when you got nothing and everybody's got their back against you, and they're turning their back to you, you know, that freedom turns into nothing. You have nothing. You have an empty street, you can walk on it, but you can't go in the building. I'm just perplexed about that little idea. Because, you know, a lot of people got to walk pretty fucking far, overnight, over miles, over years, just to find a fucking roof. Excuse my language. I'm 40 years old. I'm disabled. I'm a single father. I'm unemployed. And I wonder where the fuck I'm going to end up, let alone who gives a shit if I play the drums or the guitar tomorrow. Trying to hold on to my wits. And I look at Rolling Stone interviews and John Mayer is on the new cover and all this shit on MSN. They're telling me, you know what I think? Why don't you put the goddamn people together and make bands and everybody's moving and actively involved instead of this little fucking runt industry. It's a little fucking runt industry of closed fucking affiliations. And you know what? When you people started using children placenta, you know, birth placenta for beauty products and all this fashion shit and all this peripheral shit that has nothing to do with a guy standing in an empty room with his instruments and trying to learn how to be a fucking a human being and present emotion and broadcast himself to, you know, in a world community as a human being interchangeably, more or less, you know, in culture. You know, you lost me, you know what I mean? I don't even know why I would want to play, you know, I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, everybody needs it's a rant. What I'm going through is a rant, you know. Basically, all my heroes are getting older or dying. The music industry shows itself to be nothing but an electronic process that has nothing to do with anything other than youth and the ability to be exploited. And if my time's over, man, I got a hell of a lot of years to be walking around all fucking shingad looking worse every day because I'm getting older. I still got a heart. There's a lot of circumstances to why I didn't make it yet. A lot of it had to do with the choices I made and the kind of company I kept. You want to know the truth? Yeah, I tried to get married when I was 23 years old. And I tried to work with my family in a professional musician capacity because they gave me this freaking, they gave me a fucking false lead that it was a professional, you know, opportunity. Yeah, everybody made their money and waited to see what happens. Well, so am I. Well, I didn't make a nickel yet. I spent some money on Chinese food over the years with Social Security checks and different you know, student loans and things that have to be paid back. You know, I'm restructuring my credit after a bankruptcy since I haven't made any money in a lot of years to cover my first marriage fiasco. You know, I'm sick of it all. And somehow I'm strangely happier for saying that. You know, I'm more, to be honest and admit it. Joe Pilato video I saw from I was just, you know, I look on YouTube all the time. Joe Pilato's an actor who was in George Romero movies. You know, I got this affinity for George Romero because he's got a new movie coming out and he's still kicking. With the, he has a main point, you know, he's got a critical position to, you know, social commentary and things. And I still die. I love him. I love him. George Romero. Anyway, Joe Pilato's an actor who was in the Pittsburgh troupe that used to work with him. Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. He was Captain Rhodes, Day of the Dead, which I just started watching recently again, and because I have the DVDs for all the movies I've done. And I saw this Joe Pilato video on YouTube, and he was F this, F that. He was overplaying it, you know, but he was right. He's got a worker's position, as far as workers' union position, that America never woke up, and he was criticizing somebody for wearing Nike sneakers that walked into his parlor while he goes, "What the F? You're wearing you know, this overseas slave labor stuff." And I realize, you know, they're supposed to, and you know, and it reflected too to this magazine that I was reading.